Hello, it's Liz from West Star Tarot. Welcome. Today I am here recording my April favorites or April recap. And April was as I look back on it, a pretty eventful and expansive opening, physically, spiritually, emotionally month for me. So I'll get right into it. Things that I've been up to. Well, I am still working on the VRs to Masha, her series, Top Tarot Trumps. And I did fall a little bit behind, so they just started the key 8, and I still have to do key 7. So anyway, there's that. And this is, I've spoken about it several times, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but this is a really great VR that's going to go throughout the course of this year. So check it out. Masha's channel is Musings at Masha. And anyway, I guess I'm going to start in April. Well, first of all, I had gone away for the month of March, so there was a little bit of re-entry in April, but it went seamlessly. And the eclipse. So, we've been hearing about the eclipse for ages, for a long time, months and months and probably even years. And all of a sudden, we were a couple of days away from the eclipse, and I was like, oh, the eclipse. I'm not in the path of totality, but on the edge of that. So I thought, oh, shucks, how am I going to watch the eclipse? So my sister said, I bought you a pair of glasses. Thank you, sis. So it was really an incredible experience. It kind of blew my mind. I wasn't expecting it. And the actual, because I wasn't in the path of totality, it didn't get completely dark, but I could feel the changes. The before the eclipse, or right when it was just starting, the birds were chirping and flying and making a noise and, really active. And then as we got closer and closer to the darkness, and, I could see it with my glasses, really, it was, I would say, like 98, 99% the sun was covered. But it didn't get completely dark. But then there was just silence. The birds went from chirpy, chirpy, chirpy to silence. And I could just feel the energy of the eclipse. So I decided that I was going to do a tarot spread right after the eclipse. Well, the sun was starting to become uncovered. So it was really still during the eclipse. And I used, and I meant to bring the deck over, but I forgot, Dreamer's Journey by Allison Williams Yee. She does the Soul Trees Oracles. And this is a 46 card deck. It's the majors and then some key cards with keywords. And I just got an incredible reading from that. It was profound and moving and mind-altering, and it really shook me up in a good way. So anyway, that was a really incredible experience, much more so than I had anticipated, and it's been staying with me. Here we are a month later. So it really surprised me. I wasn't expecting it at all. So I'm continuing to get lots of messages about the importance of heart healing, not just for myself, but for others as well. And that I can be sorry guys, that's what happens when you go to cross your legs and you have a little short table. I'm so professional at these videos, aren't I? Thanks for bearing with me. Anyway, I've been getting these messages about heart healing for myself and for others, and that it's important for me to be doing this work, not just for myself, but for other people too, and building community. So I think I might have mentioned in my March video that before the pandemic, I had been doing these women's circles at a friend of mine's yoga studio. And then the pandemic came, and, you know, of course, we weren't able to do that. But while I was in Belize, I got this really strong message that it was time to start them up again. Actually, no, I'm sorry. I was still up here. That was before I went away. And so I reached out to my friend, and she said she thinks that it's vitally important. So we met, and we're going to start the circles up again this Friday. We're going to, it's a week after Beltane, but it's going to kind of be Beltane related. And I am really excited about that. I feel like I'm being called to do that. And it's work that, or activity, it's not really work, but it's something that, I just love to do. So that will be starting up, and we'll see how that goes. I wanted to talk a little bit about a deck that I got in April. A friend of mine who knows that I am exploring Hecate said she saw this deck and thought of me. So it's called Oracle of the Hecatean Path. It's by Ken Payne and Chris Butler. And so I ordered it. And it's one of those shiny ones. It is not a warm and fuzzy, which is fine because I have plenty of warm and fuzzies. So it has 44 cards, I think, or 50 cards. I'm not sure. There's a bunch of cards, of course, primarily focused on Hecate and the different guises that Hecate takes on. And then there's, I think, maybe 12 or 15 cards at the end that are from the Greek pantheon. So gods and goddesses that are close to Hecate. And of course, Hecate came out of the Titans, not the Olympians. And, if you know anything about that, you know why there's some dark stuff associated with her. Anyway, I've been using this deck, and it's really good. So, one of the things about having a lot of decks is that sometimes it's, especially when you get a new one, it's hard to really explore it and get into it. But since I did my culling in the fall, and I have shrunk the size of my collection, I'm finding that because I did that actual activity of culling, not only do I actually have less decks, but my attitude about decks and using them has shifted. So I thought, all right, Liz, you got this new deck. It's all focused on a goddess you're trying to get to know, a deity you're trying to get to know. If you just pull a couple of cards from it and then put it aside, what's the point? Might as well not even have brought it into your collection. So I decided that although I got the deck in April, I really didn't start using it until May. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to pull it. I did a deck interview spread that was pretty amazing and intense, and gave me a lot of insight and information. So I decided I'm going to pull one card or more a day for the month of May, and then I may continue to use the deck regularly or not, I'm not sure, but so far that's been going really well, and it's really interesting, and I am really, really enjoying this deck incredibly. I feel like it's going to really enlighten my and deepen my relationship with Hecate. So I'm quite excited about that. So the eclipse, and then the other big event for me of this month was Reader Studio. So I think this was my 6th Reader Studio. The first time I went, I think, was 2015. And the Reader Studio Tarot Conference in New York City was an amazing happening for me when I went the first time, and subsequently. I had no idea that there was an online tarot community, either Instagram or TarotTube. And so that opened up a whole new world for me, which also led to some deck, I'm going to say, overconsumption. But, I've moved beyond that. That was a period of a couple of years, and I did that, and I've changed. Now I'm looking at things differently, and, it wasn't bad. I didn't, have to, not pay my bills. It was fine. Anyway, I was, Reader Studio takes place the end of April every year. So the last one was in April of 2019, which is 5 years ago. So I remember when the pandemic struck in March of 2020, I thought, oh, this will be cleared up by the time we're not going to have to miss Reader Studio. And of course, everyone knows that, in fact, we did. It was canceled in 2020 and in 2021 and in 2022 and in 2023. So the folks that were running it, Wald and Ruth Ann Amberstone, Wald got very ill from COVID. They live in New York. And they were really getting to the point where they thought they were not going to be able to continue with Reader Studio. And then the folks, Michelle and Roger Welch, who do Tides in Dallas and Newts in Oregon, said, you know what, we'll take it over. So this was the first year with Michelle and Roger. Wald and Ruth Ann were there, and they did this beautiful ceremony at the opening of Reader Studio. They called it the Passing of the Wand. And they, called in the directions and set sacred space for the weekend. And then Ruth Ann and Wald literally and spiritually and metaphysically and physically passed the wand to Roger and Michelle. And that was really beautiful and set the tone for the weekend. So I did not go to the Thursday divination day. I just went to the main conference Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I drove down to New York with my tarot buddy, Ben. So we had a nice 3 hours in the car to chat. And then, we had the weekend, and there was just, I didn't think this out. I guess it's kind of obvious. I should have. I'm going to refer you to someone else's video who did think it out, and you'll get a more succinct, linear, grounded exploration of Reader Studio. But it's amazing. And one of the things I really like about Reader Studio is it's not hierarchical. So the real well-known celebrity tarot folks just plop themselves down at a table next to someone like me, who's not a tarot well-known. I've never written a book. I've never made a deck, So that is pretty cool. And a lot of the well-known folks who are presenting over the weekend and who are having study groups over the weekend you can sign up for readings with them in the evenings after the conference is done for the day. So I was at a vendor table and I looked next to me and there was Mary Kay Greer. And I had gotten a reading from her years ago at my first reader studio, and I loved her technique. So I said, "Oh, Mary, are you reading this weekend?" And she said, "No, I'm not." And I said, "Oh, darn, I wanted to get a reading from you because I got one from you at my first reader studio years ago, and I loved the technique you used." And I talked to her a little bit about the technique. And she said to me, "Well, Liz, if you see me around over the weekend and I'm just sitting around," she said, "just come up to me and I'll pull a card for you and I'll review the method for you." And I was like, wow, that's really nice. So anyway, that's kind of the magic of Reader Studio, which is different from other conferences I've gone to. I used to go to an herbal conference for like over the course of 20 years, and there was real hierarchy. Like the well-known herbalist sat, and there was a pecking order, which was kind of a bummer considering, it's a bunch of hippies talking about herbs. But anyway, it's not like that. And I don't know, I've never been to any other tarot conferences, and so I don't know if it's like that at other tarot conferences, if it's Ruth Ann and Wald that set that tone. Reader Studio started in 2003, so I think this was the 21st one. And, it's just lovely. It's just lovely. So I got to go with my friend Ben. And I thought that I was going to be sharing my room with another tarot friend of mine. But in the end, she was unable to come. And so she said to me, she reached out to me, she said, "I'm not going to be able to come, but I've gotten permission to transfer my ticket to somebody else. So if you know of someone who would like to go to the conference, let me know and I will transfer my ticket to them." So I immediately thought of my online friend Laura at Aquamarine 18, because we had discussed Reader Studio. She lives in Canada. And they told me that they always wanted to come to a Reader Studio, but just weren't sure if it was ever going to work out. So I reached out to Laura and said, there's this opportunity. If you want to go, there's a ticket awaiting you, and, you can share my room with me. So you have a room. Anyway, long story short, Laura made it. It worked. And it was one of those times when you could really see it was meant to be. Like there was just this synchronistic events, one synchronistic event after another happening, and sure enough, Laura was able to make it. So we had so much fun all weekend long. There were, I think, a couple hundred people at the conference, and it's just incredible to be in a room full of 200 tarot lovers, tarot readers, tarot enthusiasts, tarot students, tarot experts, and just spending an entire 4 days thinking about tarot, doing readings for each other, interacting with people, having conversations with people, sharing decks and books. One of the cool things, and I think that this probably happens at a lot of tarot conferences, but one of the things they have is a swap table. So you can bring decks and other tarot related things that you have that you don't want anymore, and it's like you leave a deck and you can take a deck, or you leave a deck and you can take a book, or whatever. And so that is really, really fun. So I would say that I left far more on the table than I took away. In fact, the only thing, I think I probably left maybe 10 decks. I still have bags for my culling, so I brought some of those decks. And so the only thing that I took from the table was this one. The Witch's Familiar Runic Oracle by Athena Noctua, who did the Unfolding Path, which is a tarot that I like quite a bit. And I love their artwork, and I was quite interested in this deck, but I just thought, I'm not gonna bring this in. But there it sat, brand new in its cellophane wrapper, and I thought, well, what the heck? I'll take this. So I have not used it yet, but I am looking forward to using it. Again, I love the artwork, and it will be a fun way to explore runes. So that was what I got off the swap table. And so when you sign in to Reader Studio, there's swag. So we got a bag with a whole bunch of stuff. And then there were piles of decks that we were allowed to choose from. And so they were Hay House and Llewellyn decks. So there was the 4 decks from Hay House. One of them was the Unfolding Path, which I have, and the other 2 I weren't really interested in. And then there was this one, the Change Tarot, by guidebook by Jessica Dorr and illustrated by Xavier Lopez. And this is a straight Rider-Waite claw. So the reason I decided to grab this deck rather than one of the other ones is that a couple years ago, my daughter gifted me for Solstice Jessica's book, Tarot for Change. She's a social worker, psychologist, and behavioral therapist, and she, in her book, teaches, relates these social work, psychology, and behavioral change tenets, ideas to the tarot. And I thought, I have the book. I'll just grab this one. I'm not sure whether I'll keep it or not. You can see it's just a straightforward Rider-Waite-Smith, and I don't really need it. But I'm going to try and use it with the guidebook and Jessica's text, just to see if it works out. And if not, I will pass it along to someone who would like a new Rider-Waite-Smith face deck. So that was the deck I got. We also got a couple other decks that I ended up putting on the swap table because they just didn't in the end speak to me. And I'm really trying to learn my lesson and move forward with streamlining my collection. So my friend Ben brought me 2 books from his collection. This is a spell book, and then this is a ancestral working book. And he also bought for me this beautiful little Thinning Veil Oracle. It's a teeny tiny little deck, and I think it's going to really go great with the Hecate deck. So I have not used this yet, but I am very excited about it. Isn't it beautiful? This is a standard tarot. You can see how teeny it is. Anyway, I'm looking forward to using this. I'm quite excited about it, and that was such a thoughtful gift. Laura brought me, and I left it in the other room, Feminist Killjoy, and we were laughing our heads off about that because we were talking about how being social activists and, speaking out when people say ridiculous things, and, you kind of do feel like a killjoy, but it's like, too bad. So I started that, and that's in my bedroom, which is why I don't have it handy. So anyway, the presenters were, the first presenter was V, who is online, and I'm sorry, I don't know her I'll put it in the link below, but she does have a Instagram account where she's primarily, she does a lot of Lenormand reading. I shouldn't say primarily, she does tarot and Lenormand. She did a workshop on the Strength card and self-empowerment via exploring the Strength card, which was really great. And then on Saturday, so that was Friday, then on Saturday we had Liz Dean, and she did kind of a numerological tarot combination workshop. And she had her book there, Tarot by the Numbers, and I did get that. And I'm really excited about exploring this. Liz's workshop was really good. I really enjoyed it. And so what most of the presenters do is they incorporate tarot readings into their presentations. So you either do a reading for yourself and or a reading for someone else. So she focused on numerology and the tarot, and primarily the Seven of Cups. And so we did readings around that, and that was great. And then the next presenter was Sasha Graham, and her workshop was really wonderful too. So I'm just touching on the surface of all these workshops. If you go to Laura's channel, Laura at Aquamarine 18 Tarot and Books, I'll put a link in the description box. Laura really goes into in-depth detail, and I was like, oh yeah, she's a PhD college professor. Her presentation about Reader Studio was much more at that level than me just yakking off the top of my head. Anyway, what happened? First of all, connecting to online friends, meeting them in person is just so much fun. And so heart enlivening and joyful, and spending 4 days with 200 people who are tarot lovers. It's just so much fun. It's just I can't even tell you. But since I've returned from Reader Studio, my tarot practice is so re-enlivened, reinvigorated. I'm deeply in love with tarot again. Not that I had fallen out of love really, but it had just, I had felt a little meh, I don't know. Anyway, I'm back in love with tarot. I'm pulling cards every day. I'm making plans. I have a whole bunch of videos I want to do. I'm using all kinds of different decks. I'm reading books. It's amazing. So if you ever get a chance, I just heartily recommend going to Reader Studio. Or if you're not in the, New York area of the country, maybe if you're in Oregon or the Southwest, you might want to go to Newt's or Tides. But it's really, really fun. I just had a ball, and I'm just sky high still, and I've been home a week and a half now. But anyway, it was a wonderful time. So I wanted to talk about another reason why I'm sort of wanting to explore tarot by the numbers. It's not that I haven't ever read a book on numerology, or that I don't know the meanings of the numbers, or that I don't use numerology in my tarot practice. I do. But I want to do so more. And one of the biggest reasons is because of this. So for you who have this deck and you see these backs, you're going to know this is the Gay Masse by Charlie Claire Burgess. And I I've done some, I spoke in the fall about the Jean Noblet that I got in Marseille. That is going to be my ancestral deck. But I'm not going to just do general readings with that deck. However, and I have to say, one of the things that has turned me off about Marseille Tarot is the color palette. I just don't really like that red, yellow, blue, the primary colors. Also, it's Tarot So White, and it just didn't speak to me. But this deck and the guidebook are fabulous. I love, love, love the color palette. I love the guidebook. And earlier today, I did my first reading with this deck, and it was like, so I just read it like it was nothing. So I'm quite excited about getting this deck into my collection. And I am a huge fan of Charlie Claire Burgess' work. I have their Fifth Spirit Tarot, which is one of my favorite decks since I've gotten it. I think I've had it a little over a year now. And their book, Radical Tarot, I adore. It's so good. And this is, I think, going to be another fast favorite. So I'm really excited about this. So one other thing that came up in April that I'm really excited about is I was given the opportunity. There's a new metaphysical store that's opened up, not that close to me, but somewhat close to me. And I'm going to be doing some tarot reading there. So I'm very excited about that. And then the last couple things really quickly I wanted to talk about that have me enlivened and excited are this past Friday night, my daughter Naomi had a song release event in the Boston area. She has been working on an album for several years now, and on Friday released the first single from that album. And it's really good. I'll put a link to her too, because hey, I'm always trying to get people to support her. That's what moms are supposed to do, right? So anyway, she had this event, and there was a pop-up. So she has quite a few friends who have craft stores and, do tarot readings and have metaphysical stores. So there was these, make beautiful clothing, all kinds of things. So her friends were there. There were like maybe 7 or 8 little pop-up stores. We got to do a little retail therapy with those folks. And then Naomi went to Berklee College of Music in Boston at their Valencia campus for her master's degree. And she had one of the folks that she went to graduate school with open up the event for us. And then she and her coven did a Beltane ritual. And I'd say there were about 100 people at this event. So it was a rather large circle. Oh, it was and so Naomi's theme for this circle was centering joy, which for those of you who follow me and watch my videos know that that's my theme for this whole year. And I'm not sure that Naomi knew that. So I think I talked a lot about how centering joy can have a ripple effect. And I'm thinking, oh, it did have a ripple effect. It rippled right out to my own daughter. She talked about how joy isn't a luxury. We've got to have joy in our lives in order to be able to do our work and to make the changes that we want to make. And so that was a beautiful ritual. And then Naomi came on and sang her song and did maybe a 40-minute set with her band. And that was fabulous. So that was Friday night. And then on Sunday, I went with my sisters to see the Alvin Ailey Dance Company in Boston at the Wang Theater. And that was joyful as well. So I'm going to end this yakety yak, blabbity blah video with Alvin Ailey and Joy and Beltane and Joy and the wonderful Gay Marseille and Joy and getting to know in person our online tarot tube friends, Joy. And I usually end with peace and love, but today I'm going to end with I'm sending you joy. Blessed be.